Happy Wednesday. And welcome back to another information packed episode on Ready Set Real Estate. I'm in the background messing with buttons and touching things. Say hello, say hi. Hello, how are you? We've got a fantastic show today. Let me just drop it here so that you can see. We're going to talk about something very important that most weren't paying attention to. There's a lot of things like laws that have been passed that we were paying attention to COVID and politics and the war and Brittany Griner and all this other stuff, that there were some things that have gone into effect that is going to benefit and help us. And I want us to pay attention to it because it's kind of giving us a clue to what the market is going or moving in the direction of a certain activity. So let's talk about we're on episode 192, by the way. I've captioned it First Look Program for Foreclosed Properties. What's another name for foreclosed properties? Foreclosures, bank owned, REO, which is also real estate owned. So this is now after you've watched the episodes. I think I have about 7 episodes. I did a particular series on foreclosures, like what happens, what are your options when you're facing notice of defaults, notice of trustee, and the auction, right? So now that we've covered that, although I will likely talk about it again and for the rest of the year, I'll keep reminding you and jumping back in here and saying, stop being in denial. So if you know someone who's going through some hardship, going through some really tough times, lean on to having a conversation with a professional that will consult with you, that will give you a strategy call, that will work with you strategically to providing some alternatives before selling. All right. I'll get into more of that later. But more importantly, we want to talk about this First Look program. Before I jump into that, I wanted to share some news. Like I like to, let me do a screen share. Boom. Of course. So I wanted to talk about this. I follow different cases online with celebrities and different things happening in the kind of bigger world, outer world, right? And it's because there's a lot that we can learn from that, right? There's lessons to be learned from what's happening with oftentimes those who get the limelight or the highlights. And so Michael Jordan, we know him from Black Panther, and I this really jumped out at me, and here's why. Because I remember when he purchased his property. So he purchased a property in Encino last year. So he bought it. It's about a 12,000 square foot home. Really had really cool. Really, I like the word, it says snazzy. And what was interesting is he bought this for 12.5 million last year. Let me hide that so that you can see that. Bought it last year for 12.5 million. He made about half a million in improvements, and it's now back on market for $12.9 million. So he's getting his hands into flipping. I was reading a couple years ago, he purchased a property, I think at 1.2 and ended up selling it at 1.7. So he's supplementing his income and getting his hands and feet jumping into the flip game. So it would be very interesting for me to see how long this remains on the market, what the final price will be, because luxury tends to sit longer than the rest of the other sale types. And so I just wanted to share that with you all because I've been watching it. I also have been watching another case that I've got to go back and find my notes. And he was he was a fashion designer, and he was getting evicted from a home he said he bought, but didn't have receipts and was paying cash and all this other stuff. So a lot of interesting stuff happening in the kind of celebrity world. The last time we talked about Anne, was it Anne Hesh? Anne Hesh, who passed away. She said, in fact, her son ended up young millennial, 21-year-old, 22-year-old. The court awarded him as administrator over his mother's estate. And so it was very interesting for me. Let me just kind of bring this back here because I'm not talking about Michael Jordan anymore. Talking about Anne Hesh. It was interesting that he said, my mom didn't believe in owning property, so she had no property. And so oftentimes we're thinking people in the celebrity world are vesting their money, they're buying their $1 million houses and they're buying their big, just their penthouse and condos, etc. And, their farms and their estates. But it was interesting for me to see that play out, that Anne Hesh, who passed away, tragically last year, was not a believer in owning real estate. So here's the question someone would ask: if I don't own real estate, is my property still subject to probate? And in her case, yes, if there's assets that you did not properly name beneficiaries and you've had a bank account. In her case, her son claimed that she had about 300 and something $1,000 in her bank account. So she had not listed who her beneficiaries were. And so the court ended up naming her oldest son as the administrator to close out her estate and distribute her assets accordingly. So that answers the probate question for those of you who are like, well, probate only applies if you have real estate. Not true. Not true. Okay. So I wanted to jump in there. All right. So that was me and my news. I wanted to do something different as we start to bring back our guests. I am lining up our guests. I'm really excited about that. We've got some folks that are near and dear to me that I wanted to bring on, highlight their story and their journeys, and share their lessons with you. They've got a lot to bring to the table, so I am excited about that. Additionally, let's write down our 2023 goals. We are in first quarter of 2023. You know how this goes. If you don't, welcome. Welcome to Ready Set Real Estate. Here, we're family. We build a community here. This is community where we talk about accountability. As I'm doing that sidebar, I'm like laughing to myself because I've changed the color of, as you can see here, and my nails are the same color. Like, I'm vibing at this mint green. So I've changed the color a little bit, playing around with the colors on the brand here. Write down time out, let Lisa talk about her nail colors. Write down your 2023 goals. We are in first quarter, very important. If you need help, because I'm noticing this, and I haven't spoken hugely about this, especially because I know we had shifted to just a complete shutdown and COVID and whatnot. Do know that our real estate workshops trainings are coming back. They will be back live effective March. I talked about that on the last episode. We'll be doing it at co-sponsored, or I would say not co-sponsored, but the venue sponsored by one of our escrow companies and partners. So bringing back the workshops and training live. So the exciting thing is third Saturdays, if I can recall my schedule. So third Saturdays are going to be our agent trainings, and fourth Saturdays of each month, beginning March through December, will be for our consumer community workshops. I think I'll call them our community workshops. We'll be covering on various topics that will be for property owners and those who are considering purchasing or investing in real estate. So woohoo, I'm excited about that. In fact, I can actually play around. Let me do this. Woohoo! Yay! Excited about that. What else? Background music while I'm doing announcements too, talking about quarter. So workshops. Why am I saying this in the context of what I'm discussing about 2023 goals? Because those are my goals. I've mapped out my 2023 calendar. If you need help, you need accountability. I've already met with, I think we are in day 11 of January, and I've already met with 4 clients that I've already consulted with. So creative consulting and accountability. So if you need that, reach out. Hello, Brother Bakar. He says, good afternoon and good stuff. So make sure you're reaching out. I have to grab my LinkedIn tree. Let me see if it works, because I can then just kind of give you the easier URL. That's not one. That one's not working yet. So let me do the Linktree one. So Linktree. Boom. Yeah, I'm like playing with these buttons here. Boom. Okay. So drop my link tree. So if you need to schedule a time, let me know. In fact, let me drag this screen over here and then I'll bring it back over. So let's do a screen share. Bring it back here. Boom. Okay. All right, so I dropped, you're like, how do you get to this? So this is my link tree. So if you want to stay in touch, there's a couple things that we can do. I am messing with the wrong monitor. Okay, boom. So I dropped the link down in the caption below, right? So it's linktree/LA Super Agent. I'm actually gonna have our team redirect my LASuperagent.com to this page because I think it's a lot more easier. So we'll redirect that link for you all. So when you get to the link tree, boom, right? So brings you here to tune in live to the Wednesday show, listen to the podcast. If you click it, you can order the book, Real Estate 100, the Teen and Millennial Investment Blueprint, which is really cool. When you click it here, it will actually show you where it's available, right? So paperback, Anthony Lee and myself, co-authors, available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It tells you where and how to buy that, right? So this one, do know, so I'm going to make this announcement today. I'm going to be discontinuing this book this month. I'm torn with this. So here's my thought, because it needs to be revised. It's no longer accurate because the industry has changed. So good thing I'm an active producer, right? And an author. So my thought is either I'm going to discontinue this edition so that we're not putting incorrect information, because the sales are still up. I mean, this book, and thank you. Let me just pause here and just express my gratitude for you all. This book is still selling, and it is selling all over the country. I was looking at the production and the sales and the map. Sold in the UK, sold in Spain, it's sold in Canada, it's sold, there's some parts of Africa, South America. And so I thank you all who have been following the Real Estate 100 movement since we put that out back in 2015. So 2015, this book here, if you have one of the first 300 original copies that were printed, that is the original take on that book. Since then, I had to go through revisions. So let me just talk about goals here again. If you have in mind to do something, because when I put this book out, it was not perfect. I went back and made edits. I went back and brightened the text for the images. I went back and just tweaked it, but I didn't sit on it. I refused to just sit on it and say, I've got to wait until it's perfect. The reason being is because now, it was like the moment was, now's the time. The universe says, it's downloaded into me, and now's the time for me to put it out into the world. I do have to shout out the author, not the author, but the designer of the book cover is Elijah Richard. And let me pause for a second here and bring you to the attention of the original canvas artwork. So this is a canvas artwork that became the book cover of this book. And we then scanned it, and it's very, very detailed here. Let me switch my screen view so you can see here. So this is the original canvas, and it's got Elijah's signature here. So I'm going to have to encase these after today, because I'm noticing that I want to preserve the color. So this has a story and a journey, how Elijah and I met on the bus, on the public bus transportation, as I was brewing to come up with this idea. Here is the back cover of the book, and it tells a story. I will be honest, I don't think my camera does this any justice of how vibrant these colors are, but there's a lot of red, black, and greens, and there's a lot of neon colors here. And so this is the front and the back, and we did this on purpose. Like, this book has a very intentional, deliberate message. Okay, these are my babies. Elijah Richard Thank you, brother. Thank you. Trust all is well. And yes. So thank you, Brother Bakari's like, great work. Okay, so let me get back to talking about what else is happening. So, of course, let me minimize that. Subscribe to the mailing list. I suggest you do that. That way we can, get you hooked up, right? Like you stay connected. If you're an agent, become a success partner. That's our referral link, right? Because oftentimes I have people reaching out from all over, and I don't service all over, meaning outside of California, but my referral partners do. And for you agents, you know what I'm talking about, that mail money, right? You can get those referral checks in the mail. Don't leave money on the table. We do have the Ready Set Real Estate merch, custom hats, and shop at our bookstore, okay? So do check out the link, LinkedIn, the link tree, not the LinkedIn, the link tree link. I'll put it back up here again, the link tree link, so that you'll be able to subscribe and sign up to the workshops. I'm going to activate that link again. Okay. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to bring all that stuff back. Okay. So let me minimize that. Okay. Boom. Before I jump into this here, let me do this real quick. I first want to talk about what this show is about. So disclaimers, the information provided on this show should not be considered legal tax advice. Please seek legal tax advice from those reputable licensed professionals. And I do have, I want to do something different today. We do have a sponsor. Today's sponsor, of course, is my shameless plug of Devenio Estates. And I wanted to be right back after this sponsor break, and we're going to get into episode 192, first look period, talking about how this will help you win your offers when you are looking to purchase affordable properties, need work likely, right? Able to renovate, do some light works that are HUD, foreclosed, bank-owned property. So I'm really excited about this. So be right back after the sponsor break. Are you facing foreclosure? Work with an experienced team who can get you the best offers for your property and on your terms. You don't have to settle for less to avoid foreclosure or get pressured into a quick sale. Call Devenio Estates today for your free strategy call at 323-602-0688. Again, that's 323-602-0688. Devenio Estates is independently owned and operated under California Department of Real Estate License 02151048. All right, very good. Thank you for that. Okay, I forgot to turn off my cell phone, so let's do this. There's just so much going on. So much going on. Someone's trying to reach out to me. State of an emergency. No, it's not state of emergency. Do you see what's happening with, people are like, it's retrograde. It's a retrograde. That's what's going on. It's like messing up all kinds of things out here. I was reading how many flights had been canceled. Like all flights were canceled in and out domestically. So it's wild out here. Nevertheless, let's stay focused. Okay. Let's keep this short, sweet, and simple. I just wanted to bring you the latest news in terms of the first look program for real estate owned or REO properties. These are, now that the property's gone through the foreclosure process, that means that there was no successful winning bidder. No one bid on the property, and it ended up being returned to the beneficiary. In that case, that meant the bank. The bank is the beneficiary when you're talking about the foreclosure process. So let's do that real quick. Write down our notes here. In pre-foreclosure, so pre-foreclosure, how do I know that? Look at your mortgage paperwork. That's what it says. Pre-foreclosure process, the bank slash investor or note holder or lien holder equals the beneficiary. Boom. Okay, so I'm using a chat chat box down below. By the way, I want to say shout out to those of you who are tuning in on our YouTube. Thank you very much for your love and support. Subscribe. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button if you're tuning in on any of your favorite platforms. We are now available live on Wednesdays at 11, except for when I meet with Anthony because he's on East Coast. We're going to bump that to, I believe, 1 hour earlier. So we'll do it at 10. I'll have that scheduled. That way you can receive that notification and hit that reminder button so that we know, so that you don't miss us and you can catch us on the live, which gives you an opportunity to connect with the guests, ask those questions, and really, learn. Other than that, if you're catching us on demand, make sure you hashtag replay so that we know you're on. We definitely will come on and answer any questions or comments that you share as you are watching the show on demand. And we are streaming on all your favorite platforms. Okay. Wonderful. I want to say thank you too for those of you who are streaming on ERGJ Enterprise, my brother, Evan Jefferson. He's definitely been doing an amazing job in terms of keeping a community for us since its inception when he created not only his page and channel, but also the Black Billionaires Club, followed by his book. All right. So pre-foreclosure, in the pre-foreclosure process, the bank or investor or note holder or lien holder, right? These are all the same or used interchangeably because depending on whether the note has been sold, and that's the nature of the business, is that the mortgage is sold. That's what happens. The bank or the investor or note holder or lien holder becomes the beneficiary. They are the one receiving the benefit of the mortgage payments. They lent out the money, and then if they sold the note to another lender who paid X amount of dollars, they now are the beneficiary of the payments that are due from that note. Now, in the event that you default, it goes through a process of 60 days. So 2 months of missed payment. The lender has the right to file and record a public notice that says this property, you and the public have been put on notice that this property is 60 days past due. And they have that whole information. And then an additional 30 days, if it remains another 30 days past due and you have not redeemed the amount, or in other words, brought it current, then they will file what is called an NOT, which is a notice of trustee sale. Once they file the notice of trustee sale, they will put it out for another, usually a month or 2 months. So essentially you have like another 30 to 60 day window when they post the auction date. The notice of trustee sale date is the public auction date, at which time they will exercise that clause within the note that says we have the right to sell the property as collateral to recover any debt owed to us. Once it goes through the auctions phase, that usually is handled either in court, not in court, but outside a courthouse. It's handled in the hotel, in a conference room. They'll set what the minimum bid is. Usually the minimum bid starts at the default amount, the amount owed. And it's important if you're looking into purchasing foreclosed, pre-foreclosed or properties that are being sold at the auction, do your due diligence and research to confirm whether there are other liens recorded on that property, because that auction is reflecting that one lien holder, if there are multiple, is exercising their right to protect their interests and to recover the monies or debt owed to them. There can be other debt, past due HOA fees, past due taxes, past due a second, past due PACE liens, past due HERO liens, past due solar contracts. So be mindful to do your due diligence if you are seeking to invest at that particular stage. Now, let's say in the event that it is not sold at the auction, it now is sold back to the beneficiary. It's one of the coldest games that I've seen to recover a property. Do know if the property is being sold by someone other than the bank, it's a great tool to recover property or an asset, to force a sale, force a foreclosure, and recover that property. You then renovate it. You either do one or two things: you buy, hold, rent it out, or you recover it, renovate it, fix it up, and you flip it, you sell it, you put it back on the market for a profit, ideally. Now, in the case of real estate owned properties, they have been concluded as they've been concluded that, okay, so no successful winning bidders, and it goes back to the beneficiary. Now, here's what happens, and this is why this is important, because during the first look period prior to this, it was a very short 7-day, 10-day, 15-day, 20-day, and then 30-day to everyone else type process when you were looking into real estate owned properties. There has been a huge complaint about this limits the availability or opportunity for owner occupied buyers or first time buyers, nonprofits, or public entities who are looking to address the housing need for themselves or the housing need for the public. There has been challenges for them to compete and truly compete with cash purchasers, i.e., investors who were able to close quickly and buy in bulk. So there have been a couple things that have transpired that I'm excited about, and here's what they are. One, this new First Look program, or I would say the update to the First Look program, has now extended the First Look period. So let's define what the First Look period is. That means for the first 30 days that property is on the market, it is going to be made available to first-time buyers, nonprofits, or public entities. The good news is this was an extension from 20 days to now 30 days. So it's a full 30 days. What's great about it is, let's say once a first-time buyer submits an offer on a bank-owned property, and they go through the motion, their offer is accepted within 5 days. The bank is going to counter back, and they have their own contracts they use, their own addendums they use. So read through that so you really understand and work with someone approved to submit on these offers. My brokerage, by the way, is HUD approved. We are HUD approved brokerage. So again, you do have to work with a broker that is approved to submit on these real estate owned properties. Okay. So that was my sidebar. With that being said, you have 7 days. Let's say it's gone through a process of 7 days, and now you have your offer accepted. The bank counters you submit your deposit, you do your inspections, and then you realize you don't want to move forward after your inspection findings, and you cancel escrow. Now the property's back on the market. So now let's say we're at day 14. That means, which is great, because now we're still within that first 30 days of being on the market and in that first look period, which means the next opportunity still goes to a first-time buyer, a nonprofit, or a public entity. So you see how this is working to our benefit for those who are working with the buyer population, such as first-timers or nonprofits or public entities. You have that first look period. During that first 30 days is also the REO seller may only consider options from this group of buyer. And to that, which is to the third point, they are required to provide a response to offers received within that 30-day period. This is huge for me in a couple reasons, because when I'm representing a buyer and we're submitting offers, our contracts have a section where it says that when was this offer presented, and whether the seller was rejecting the offer or making a counter offer. Because we're in such a competitive arena, especially right now with the market shifting, there isn't much opportunity for agents to earn as much as they were earning during this pandemic boom. It will create the ugly side of the business that I haven't shied away from talking about, which is agents not presenting all offers to their seller clients, which is unethical, right? Not presenting all offers in the hopes that they can double end the deal and keep the entire commission for themselves. And so this for me is huge because the banks are usually represented by brokerages who have been in the business for a long time and have been experienced in the business of working with real estate owned properties. And so it puts me at more confidence and ease to know that there has been requirements that says I am required, right? The bank is to respond. The bank seller is required to sell to our offer or to respond to our offer. So this for me is huge. If we can only get more of that push, more of it. Unfortunately, I'm not asking for more policing or oversight, but it our business has so many agents. And when you talk about and you do the math in terms of inventory available agents to the ratio of agents that are out here, it really creates an environment for unscrupulous activities, for selfishness, for unethical behavior, and just a whole mess of things. So this for me is huge. Also, I'm going to close out with this. This for me was I saw this coming, and Governor Newsom, in fact, passed a law that prohibited this or put this into effect. So there's a new law that prohibits bundled sales, meaning that the banks can only sell properties one at a time if they foreclosed on 175 or more properties in the prior year. So they don't get to do a mass wave of foreclosures and then unload them as a portfolio to an investor, because sometimes those properties, a lot of times of what we've seen, and you all can't see my monopoly board, but that's the story of the monopoly board behind me, is that we don't often see that Wall Street or the investors essentially portfolio those properties and they become annuities. They don't hit the rent, they don't hit the market for the first time buyers, nonprofits, or public entities. We don't see that. That's what happened to the shadow inventory. They became rental inventory. They became rental investment properties for investors. All right. So this one is huge. Okay. With that, I'm going to wrap up. I do want to say, I noticed that I jumped into the show, but let me just remind you all, Lisa Gillett, also your host of Ready Set Real Estate, creator and founder of many cool things, including the Real Estate 100 movement, the real estate program. We are also creating a very unique certified super agent program that is designated or dedicated for agents. So I will be doing the designation training for those who are interested in learning the super agent way, right? Negotiation style, techniques, marketing, branding, and so that you can earn that designation as well. Really excited about that. And my experience in history is, as a pricing strategy advisor, foreclosure certified, and more importantly, not just foreclosure certified, but probate certified and experienced, but also as a seniors real estate specialist. That designation is near and dear for me, along with everything else that I do. But it's because I pride myself in taking that extra step in caring for our senior community. Okay. That's where I am with that. So this is where we're going to wrap up here. We'll end this here. We talked about the first look program for foreclosed property. So if you are looking, if you've been sitting on the sideline and thinking that you are going to hold off on jumping into the market when you see the opportunity for you to get qualified, right? One of our lender partners says, buy when you qualify. So once you get qualified, pre-approved, and you meet with your real estate specialist, consultant, broker, agent, realtor, advisor, and you set out a plan, and if real estate owned properties is on something that you're interested in, do know you've got a better opportunity that you've ever had before, is because this first look period has opened up and been extended to 30 days. There's other requirements and stipulations that comes with that. And the good news is that banks are supposed to, right? Supposed to follow the new laws, that they don't get to do any more bulk sales and have to sell properties one at a time. That will make a difference to increase not just home ownership for for those who are interested, to create housing for individuals, but we're talking about something that's been hugely recognized as quote unquote the American dream. So I'm glad that we're able to continue to support that and protect that from the big bad wolf of Wall Street per se. Okay, that's my time, you guys. Make sure you say subscribe, follow, and drop a comment and share. Share, 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 share. Sharing is caring. We'll see you next week on another information packed episode of Ready, Set, Real Estate. Take care, guys. Bye.